Guys, what's going on? Welcome to Serial at Midnight. My name is Heath, and in this video, we're going to take a look at the latest batch of retro VHS edition Blu-rays from Mill Creek Entertainment. This is the latest four. These are four new releases in the retro VHS line. Now, I'm calling this Wave 2, though I don't think Mill Creek has ever actually referred to this as a wave. But this does come. These four movies come a couple of months after what I'm calling Wave 1. The original six. And so this rounds us out to 10 with these four. These slipcovers, this whole VHS thing really seems to trigger some people. So we're going to talk about it. But first we're going to talk about the movies themselves, because I've seen all of these. I have things to say about them. Sheena. Let's start with Sheena. What a crazy movie, you guys. And I should mention, this is the first time Sheena is coming to Blu-ray. This is the first Blu-ray of Sheena. This allows me to replace this set. This was the previous Mill Creek set, which is the movie in standard definition on a DVD, with the complete syndicated series that starred Gina Lee Nolan in the early 2000s, 2000 to 2002, I believe. But I appreciated this because it allowed me to have Sheena in my collection, but now I have Sheena on Blu-ray. And this is... I don't even know how to start talking about Sheena. It's a crazy movie, but I love it. As crazy as it is, listen, this is a movie that's rated PG, that has a ton of nudity in it. It's Tanya Roberts, that 70s show, Beastmaster, Charlie's Angels. It's Tanya Roberts. She's unclothed, or mostly unclothed, for a significant portion of the movie, and yet it doesn't feel dirty or exploitative. It feels sweet and innocent, and it doesn't feel like it's raunchy, like we're leering at anything. That's never a part of it. It feels like we're watching, like National Geographic sometimes, or something like that. It's hard to explain, but I think maybe that's how they got a PG rating. Here's the thing. Sheena is often, sometimes criticized as being Tarzan it's Tarzan as a woman. Like they've replaced Tarzan with a woman. It's basically a one-to-one conversion from that, and it kind of is. A white child is lost in the jungles of Africa and raised as a local, raised to be friends with the animals so she can call upon the animals. There's so much of that pulpy sensibility to this. That's probably why I like it so much, because I am a pulpy fan. Like I love the pulps of the 30s and the 40s, old serials. Sheena was co-created. This is important. Sheena was co-created by Will Eisner, the man who created The Spirit. There's an award named after Will Eisner. It's the Eisner Award is the benchmark for comics excellence, and he co-created this character back in the 30s. So while I think it is chasing Tarzan, it's pretty cool on its own. Here's an example of how crazy this is. Okay, there's crazy violence in it. It's got some really dark violence, like a guy gets speared through the neck, people get shot, but a chimpanzee throws a grenade. Okay? And she rides a zebra. Like we meet her character. They have like a 10-minute prologue, and then we're introduced to Sheena as she rides into the frame. It's this beautiful African savanna. She's riding a zebra into frame. It's just a tracking shot. It's like a 3-minute tracking shot. She's just riding a zebra, and there's like thousands of birds behind her, and they take flight, and we're like riding along the water. It's insane, but it is beautiful, and there's a sweetness to it. You're like, well, because it treats it so earnestly, and so it's not winking. It treats it honestly, non-ironically. It works. And that's really the charm of this. Like, this movie should not exist. It should not work. But I'm so happy that I have this on Blu-ray now, because I love this movie. It's just sweet. So this is the retro VHS edition of this. We have this is a pretty one-to-one representation of the original VHS. I think there's multiple editions of this, but I know for a fact this is the one I always saw. This with the rainbow effect. And then I'll take it out. So we have, for those of you who, you can take it out and it's just, Tanya Roberts, nothing retro, nothing VHS-y about this. Here's the thing. There's so many people that I'm seeing online who are like, I hate these VHS slipcovers. I hate them. They're ruining these movies. Well, you're not paying anything extra for them. So if you don't like them, you can chuck them. And for those of us who want the movies, see, here's the thing. Here's why I think these exist. I think that we're experiencing this VHS resurgence, this nostalgia thing right now. So many of us physical media collectors, this is how we met these movies the first time. It was this art. And so for a lot of us, it's a nostalgia for when we were beginning collecting or when we saw them in the VHS, the rental stores. Our Blockbusters, or more likely our mom and pop local video stores. So if you're not nostalgic about it and you don't care about these, just throw them away. I mean, you don't have to, don't take them away from people, right? But they'll be like, we don't want any more of these. Because really, it's just a piece of paper. It's just a slipcover. Live and let live, I say. Songwriter is the next one. You guys, some of you who've been following the channel for a long time may know that I love outlaw country from the 70s. Kristofferson is the man, and so is Willie Nelson, and they're both in Songwriter. This is a bizarre movie. It's hard to explain. It's directed by the guy who made Roadie. I think it's a 1980 movie. It's got Alice Cooper in it. Meatloaf wants to take this girl. Like, Meatloaf is like this truck driver, and he wants to take this girl. He's a roadie. He wants to take this girl to meet Alice Cooper. Her dream is to meet Alice Cooper. And so it's this like cross-country, kind of rednecky adventure in the days after Smokey and the Bandit. That kind of a thing with Alice Cooper in it. And so it's the same director and kind of the same tone. Hard to put. I think this is labeled as comedy, but not really. Like, it's not really a comedy. It's just weird. Which is kind of the same thing about the. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, all four of these movies are what we would call unconventional. They're the unusual suspects. These are not the target movies that you would expect for this. So I commend Mill Creek for that, because these are unsung movies. These are movies that not a lot of people have seen. Sleepers. These are like your video store staples that people would you check them out like in the back. They'd be in the back. These weren't the new releases. These were like the catalog titles in the back, and some people watched them and some people knew. So I commend these. But Songwriter, kind of semi-autobiographical for Willie Nelson. It kind of chronicles the outlaw country movement, like he's in a band with Kristofferson, the mom from A Christmas Story. She's also in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. She's in this as Willie Nelson's separated wife. I guess they're separated, but anyway, he's kind of trying to figure out how to get over on the executives and the labels and like the music industry. It's kind of a 1984 look at the music industry during that period when the outlaws were rising up against their labels and things like that. It all takes place in Austin, Texas, filmed entirely in Austin. And it's pretty great. Like, it's not conventionally like, oh, it's such a great dramatic movie. I can't say that. It's weird, but it's cool because it's weird. Same thing for Sheena. Same thing about the other ones that I'm going to talk about. They're cool because they're unconventional. They're not easy sells. Does that make sense? Like, they're not crowd pleasers. They're kind of on the fringe, even in their storytelling. Like, there's just a lot of decisions that were made. It's like, well, that's a weird choice. But in a world where everything kind of looks the same now, that makes these stand out. So this is the slipcase for this one. You got Willie and Kris sharing some headphones there. We got you guys remember, if you're from the video store days, do you remember this? The red and the black label, and the VHS label is on the other side. But the original, the Blu-ray itself is just classic looking. Now, this is another one that is brand new to Blu-ray, courtesy of Mill Creek. It doesn't have any, I don't think, I took notes for some of this. I don't believe it has any, it has no special features. I don't even think this one had subtitles. Sheena does have subtitles, and I think it's the only one of the four that does have them. So that's, if subtitles are an issue for you, be aware. I don't think there are any. Same for this, Neighbors. This has nothing. This just has an option to play. This is Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, and this is John Belushi's last movie. This came out at the end, like Christmas time of 1981, I believe, and he had died of an overdose like 4 months after this movie came out. So this is Belushi's last movie, and it's weird because it's the wacky neighbors movie. It's, Belushi is your straight-laced, button-down suburban man, and Dan Aykroyd becomes the wacky neighbor who moves in. And that's a role reversal for them, because Belushi was always the loose cannon, and Dan Aykroyd, he was pretty good at being the everyman, I guess. But apparently they decided to switch it at the last minute. They were like, it seems like they had like total control over the behind-the-scenes story on this movie. They're crazy. Apparently Dan Aykroyd said everybody was on cocaine. You can kind of tell, like, it's just wacky. Nothing makes sense. It's bizarre. It feels like a fever dream. If you think about a movie about the wacky neighbor and he's making your life a living hell, the things you would think would happen in that's not really what happens in this. It's way different. And it's also got, I should mention, this is directed by John G. Avildsen, who directed Rocky and The Karate Kid. And he directed this as well. And the music is by Bill Conti, Rocky. And the thing that's cool about it, for me, is that the soundtrack, Bill Conti's soundtrack, is so unconventional. We're talking about, like, theremin and, like, slide trombones, and I think there's kazoo in there, maybe? Strange. The whole thing is like cartoon. It's like a cartoon soundtrack, which really kind of tells you what they were going for, I guess. But it's a crazy movie, you guys. The female lead in here, well, I don't know if she's, I'll call her the female lead, Kathy Moriarty, who, Raging Bull is the one that immediately comes to mind. She's fantastic. And she's very, very beautiful, very, she's cast as kind of a temptress in this movie. And it works really well, man. She's really believable in that role. But it's a lot of fun. It made me laugh out loud a couple of times, but it's not the kind of movie it's not a laugh out loud kind of movie. It's more of just a, that kind of a movie. So what's cool about this is that this comes to Blu-ray. This is another one. It's been released on Blu-ray before as part of Sony Pictures', I think it's called the Choice Collection. They're manufactured on demand Blu-ray stuff. So it was available on Blu-ray, but it was a burned disc, burned to Blu-ray on demand. I think it was like $23. Now we have a pressed disc of this for like $8.99. I think it's going for $8.99 right now. So there's the cover. This was the classic VHS cover. This was actually pretty much the poster. And then we have an alternate, we have our artwork here, and there's the back. So I recommend it, but it is not, when you think of 80s comedies, that's not what you're thinking of. It's way off in its own thing. It is drug-fueled. There's no drugs in the movie, but it's just so weird, so bizarre. But again, that's what makes it stand out. That's what makes it special. The last one is, it's a re-release, basically. This is The Legend of Billie Jean. This is the same Fair is Fair edition that came out a few years ago. I don't think anything's been changed. This does have a commentary. I don't think it has subtitles, but it has an audio commentary with Helen Slater and Yardley Smith, who is the voice of Lisa Simpson on The Simpsons. So if you already have this, the only real reason to rebuy it would be for the VHS slip. And it's a pretty good slip. I love the artwork on this. I love the rainbow colors, and I don't know that I ever remember seeing this on VHS back in the day, so I can't vouch for if it looked exactly like this, but it's pretty cool. So that would be the reason to rebuy this one. I think this is going to be it for a while on the 80s line from Mill Creek, but they have just announced, just days ago, they announced that they're doing four more movies from the 90s. And so instead of looking like this, these are all clearly, here, I'll stack these with the rest of the 80s collection. These distinctly look like they're from the 80s. But the 90s wave is going to be more fun colored. It's going to look like 90s VHSs, and there's some titles in there that I'm really interested in. So I'm in. Of course I'm in. I love to support these things. I think these are quality products, and the fact that 3 of the 4 of these are brand new to pressed Blu-ray, that's cause for celebration. So I like them. I will be supporting them. Let's stack these together so we can do the whole. This is our current retro VHS edition Blu-ray set. This is all 10 that are available, and there's the other side. I think they look great on the shelf. They stick out. They've got a lot of personality and character. Guys, thanks for hanging out, talking about some retro VHS editions. Are you gonna pick any of these up? Do you have any thoughts about any of these movies? Do you like Sheena? Are you in the Sheena fan club as well? Let me know in the comments below. Guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I will catch you later.